Hi, this is Akash, and we are going to configure Syncthing on a UGREEN nest today. So we're going to build our private file sync system that is 100% end-to-end encrypted, where the data doesn't go through any cloud server, and everything happens peer-to-peer between one device to another device. We'll also see how to enable file versioning so that you can roll back any file if there are any changes, and also what one-way and two-way syncs in Syncthing is. So let's go to our Docker, create a new project, and we will use the compose file. Okay, so we have a service called Syncthing. We are using the Linux server image. This is important. Make sure that you either use the official image or the reputed service provider. Name of the container, the host name. Host name is something that the instance is given. Your PUID and PGID, which you will find here, and they are important because without these you will run into all sorts of permission issues. Your time zone, you can change this. This volume, you don't have to change it. This will basically be a directory created in the same project directory, which will hold the configuration. This part you need to change. All right, so what I have done is I have a shared folder with the name of sync. Okay, this is where I want all the synced data to be. Inside this, and I cannot use sync because this is a root folder. Inside this, I've created a folder called data. Okay, when I right click on this and see properties, I see that the location is volume 1 sync data, and this is what I have used here, volume 1 sync data. This is referred to as data. This is where the mount point is. So in my container will see this path as only data. All right. 8384 is the port where you will have the web UI, which you will do everything with. All the administration will be done here. 22000 is actually the syncing port, which we will use to connect other machines to it. All right, this is it. Let's click on deploy. Now, while this is happening, let's go back to our files again and right click on your data properties. Make sure that the owner is your login name. My login name is Nash, so it shows Nash here. Make sure that it doesn't show root. Click on this so that recursively the permission goes down to all the subfolders. Click on confirm. Then once more go in, go to permissions and make sure that your user has read and write. Even if it has it, click it again and confirm again. This makes sure that you don't run into any sort of permission issues. Okay, so this is done. Let's go to sync things. Once you go to the container, you will see that you have got two ports, 22000, which is used for syncing, and 8384, which is your web port. All right, it tells you whether you want the reporting or not. No. Okay, it tells you immediately that you need to set up a username and password, which we'll do very quickly. And login. Okay, this is this UG Syncthing NAS. This is the host name that we give it here. So if you look at it in compose configuration, this host name that we gave here is given to this guy here. Okay, this is the instance that is running on UGREEN. Now I need an instance running on the local PC. So for that, I've already installed the Windows client. If you look at the Syncthing configuration page, it will take you basically again to localhost 127.0.0.1, which is the your desktop localhost connection, again on 8384. So these are two instances running. AGDT is the instance which is running on the desktop, and UG is the instance that is running on the UGREEN. Okay, let me delete this first because this is from the previous installation. Remove. Okay, now what you need to do is you need to connect these two devices. Our objective is to have the data flow between AJDT and UG. All right, so let's go to UG. You will see in the identification a long number here. Copy this. This is basically the ID of this machine, which is again derived from the public key. And here we say add a remote device. We'll give it the device ID. And we also need to give it the address. Address here is 10.30.30.169. So TCP 10.30.30.169, and the port is 22,000. 10.30.30.169 and 22,000. It tells you here, see, TCP, IP, and port. All right, save it. And once you do that, he didn't ask you for any authentication at all. All right. But here on the other machine, you will see that something pops up which says that this connection is asked. Do you want it to go through? We'll say add and save. Now refresh it once, and you will see that now both the machines are connected. Okay, so your desktop is connected to your NAS. Now, of course, if we are on Tailnet, then Tailnet will also work. This is another machine that I'm running on Tailnet, so we can also go through Tailnet. Okay, so if you have machines which are remote, then you can use Tailnet to connect the two machines. Now we have to do a few things in the configuration. Go to Action, Settings, and Connections. We don't need net traversal, remove this. We don't need local discovery, we don't need global discovery, and we don't need relaying either, because we are using either a local LAN or we are using Tailnet. I prefer Tailnet because it makes the whole thing very, very secure. Here as well, we'll go to advanced, we'll go to settings, connection, and we'll remove. We don't need local discovery. We are going to use our machine ID and the address. Global discovery also we don't need. Once you disable global discovery, the servers also got disabled. We don't need relay and net traversal because we are going to use our VPN. So save it. Now we have to add the folders. So the idea is that there is a folder that we want to keep in sync between desktop and UG. Okay. So here I have a folder on my desktop. Let's copy it as path. Go back here, add folder. This is desktop. Okay, remember from desktop we are adding first folder label, whatever it might be, and the folder path. Here it doesn't give you an option to browse. You would have expected it to give you a button which says browse and then give a path, but it doesn't do that. This is your folder path. And we are also going to say that share it with UG. Click on save. Once you do that and go to the other machine, it says that there is a new folder that the other machine is trying to add. Click on add. Here you have to give again a folder path. We'll give data temp, for example. Why data? Because this is the UGREEN machine. On UGREEN, everything is in data. All right. And click on save. This is done, syncing up to date. Okay. Let's do something now. Under test folder, let's create a new file. Let's call it version 1. And now we go to UGREEN under files, sync data temp. You see this test version 1. So this is synced. Now let's look at versioning and things like those. First, the versioning. Let's go to edit, file versioning. No file versioning, of course, there is no file versioning at all. FreshCal file versioning is very simple. There are only two versions kept, the current version and the version before this. So every time you overwrite a file, the previous version goes to the trash can. Simple. So from trash can, you can get the previous version, but only the most recent revision is kept. So current file plus current minus one file. Then you have simple file versioning where you can give the number of versions that you want to keep. So for example, if you give 5 versions that you want to keep, then 5 most recent versions are retained. The moment you make the 6th revision, then the first revision is tossed out, so as it keeps the most recent 5 versions. And this is the um, most commonly used strategy is staggered file versioning. With staggered file versioning, you give the number of days that you have where you want to keep the file. So if you keep it for 365 days, then it will keep a number of versions to maximize it. And then we also have, so this is about versioning. Now remember, versioning will only work on the machine which is a receiving machine. So let's see what is a receiving machine, what is a sending machine. So now you'll see that the folder type here is send and receive, which is the default type, which means that it's a two-way communication. If there is anything that changes on UGREEN, it's pushed back to your desktop, and anytime something changes on desktop is pushed back to UGREEN. Okay, this is based on timestamp. Whatever has the most recent timestamp, that file is retained on both the ends. Then you have send only. With send only, let's say you want to keep the source of truth as your desktop, and only from your desktop you want to send file to UGREEN. If anything changes on UGREEN, you don't want it to be received back on desktop. So in that case, you will make it send only. Okay. Sorry, receive only on UGREEN. This is the UGREEN one. You will make it receive only here, and on the other end, you will make it send only. Nothing is there to stop you from making both receive only or both send only. Okay, so technically it's possible that you can keep both the ends as send only, but if you do that, then both the machines will try to push the version to each other or try to get the version from each other, which will be an endless loop. And then you have receive encrypted, which nobody uses. Receive encrypted is basically something if you have a file, if you have one node where you want to just push the data in an encrypted mode. So even that machine itself is compromised, will not be able to make use of the data because that data will be encrypted and an encryption key will be there on the sending machine. That's when you use receive encrypted. But otherwise, send and receive, two-way, send only on one end, receive only on the other end is one way from here to there. Receive only here and send only on the other end is one way from there to here. This is it about Syncthing. Very simple. Most of the time people will actually use send and receive, two-way communication. But if you want, you can create multiple rules. You can create one folder which will be an exact copy of this folder and go there or the other way around. If you have any questions or comments, do feel free to ask them, and I always come back. Thank you.